If there's one thing we've learned about business and life, it's that people are the X factor. They constantly surprise us, both in amazing ways and not so much. We're Ben and Syya, and welcome to the Gnaw on This Business Bites podcast. This show is all about real life things we all deal with every day, how they relate to business, and how to make some sense out of our daily chaos. Welcome to the show. And welcome back to another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bites. I'm Ben. This is Syya. And this week we want to talk about, here's a question for you. Do we have the qualities that we desire and we expect from others? In other words, we expect other people to act in a certain way. But do we really, truly possess those qualities ourselves? Or is it just something that we're sitting there going, well, I want people to be like this, but in the end, I can do things whatever way I want to. Here's a perfect example. Years ago, we're talking 26, 27 years ago, I worked for somebody that was a vice president of sales that the day you walked into the company, you had to read 7 Habits by Stephen Covey, and you had to live it. And you had to be able to quote it and all these kind of things. Stephen Covey for him was the greatest person in the world. And his thought process is that everybody had to live the process of Stephen Covey. The problem is this guy was one of the most backstabbing, conniving, politically manipulative people you've ever met in your life. I mean, this guy literally hired me to solve a problem, didn't tell me he was doing this, was training somebody else in the meantime to take over the position. And as soon as I got the company to where it needed to be and fixed the problem, they got rid of me and put this person in my job. And yeah, it took 18 months for that to happen, but it was absolutely clear. And he admitted that he hired me to solve a problem and then, be able to sit there and fire me as soon as I wasn't necessary anymore. But this guy, said everybody had to be fair and everybody had to be upfront and everybody had to be, loyal to each other. And then he wasn't. So we need to sit there and say, we expect the world to act a certain way. We want people to think a certain way and believe a certain way and do certain things. But are we doing it ourselves? Syya, let's gnaw on this.
So you just reminded me of a, social media. I'm a big social media person. I interact very frequently. And I think when I see a lot of posts, whether it's LinkedIn or, any other social media platform where people post quotes, live and strive to be a better person and think towards blah, blah, or I don't know, I meditate every day at 4 a.m. and I'm a giving person and blah, blah, blah. Like I remember seeing some of these posts with certain individuals, like you say, like you're really going to be sitting there talking about finding your center and being at one with the world, but you are a hothead and you talk about crap and people and all that stuff. It's like, there's irony in this. And that's why I think it's really funny. It's so much easier said than done.
Exactly.
Right? We like to think we're perfect people. We like to think we're infallible, right? But yet at the same time, gosh darn it, we're not. Right? Like our own self-perception and what other people have of you can be very vastly different if you have not done the exercises needed to have a healthy self-evaluation of self.
Self-awareness, self-evaluation. Exactly.
Hey, thanks for translating me.
You know what? That's what my job is, to sit there and say, okay, I speak Syya. All right, let's see if I can get it out of her brain. But I'm with you 100% because we all sit there in this world where we don't control our brand anymore. Jeff Bezos says our brand is what other people think, talk about us when we're not in the room. When other people are talking about us when we're not in our room, that's truly what our brand is. I tell people, it says, look, here's what you do. Pretend you died and you're sitting at the wake or at the funeral or whatever, and listen to how other people talk about you. Now go back and live that life. Now, that's how you want people to talk about you at your funeral or when they're over the casket. Great. Now go back and live that life. That's the only way it's going to happen. The only way it's going to happen is if you do what you say and you say what you do. And too many people don't. Too many people say, well, I told you to do this, but there's another set of rules just for me.
Oh.
And I think that we need to be honest with ourselves about this. If you are a person that is totally driven by money, if you are a person that is about me and this is what you're about, and you're okay with that, embrace it. That's who you are. If you are comfortable with it, if that's what you want to be, and you're happy with it, and you're okay with people treating you that way because they see you as that person, they're going to say, well, if they're cutthroat, we're going to be cutthroat. If we're not going to trust them because I don't think they're ever going to trust us. If you're okay with that, live that life. But most of us, it's the do unto others as you would like to have done unto yourself in one way, shape, or form. And I think that most of us would like to be treated fairly. Most of us would like to be spoken to honestly. Most of us would like to be told the truth and not have things hidden from us.
Truth, but tactfully.
Tactfully truth. It's telling somebody that their baby is ugly in front of their mother is not a good thing to do. Even if that baby does look like Winston Churchill. But
Winston Churchill was good looking in his youth, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen a picture.
He was towards the end, not so much, but the man could drink, and I got to, there's no fault on it for that. But you sit there and go, we need to sit there and say, how do we want to treat the world? Because this is how we want the world to treat us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to be honest with ourselves. We can't stop being who you think people want you to be and start being who you need to be. But realize that there's ramifications.
Yeah. Yeah. You reminded me of that other, I think it's just so it always inspires me, but going back to our previous episode, talking about integrity and the Japanese cleaning up the stadium.
Absolutely.
When we go to a stadium, the odds are high we've paid a lot of money for it, right? It's usually a multi-$100 investment to go out for the day, right? It's not cheap to do these venues anymore.
No.
And we expect that stadium to be clean and tidy. We expect it to be something where I'm not going to be sitting on gum, and trusting that I'm not going to sit on gum. Well, if you have those level of expectations or you want the food quality to be good, right? Or et cetera, it's well, then make sure when you're at that event, you're cleaning up after yourself. You're chewing that gum, you don't know where to toss it, find a trash can for it, right? And I think that's where, again, are you living what you are expecting? And, again, I can't hammer it more home than that. You want perfection, then you yourself need to get as close to it as much as possible. You want perfection out of others, I should clarify.
That's right. And what you need to realize that other people can't be perfect because you can't be perfect. None of us are ever going to be perfect. All of us are going to make mistakes. All of us are going to do things that are going to drive other people crazy. We need to give each other grace for that.
What?
I mean, yes, if somebody makes a mistake, okay, if they say they're sorry and they fix it, fine, move on. If the person makes the same mistake over and over again, it's a different story altogether.
You're choosing at that point.
At that time, you're choosing to enable that person to do what they do. And we need to sit there and say, okay, how do I want to see the world and how do I want the world to see me? And we need to look at the world that way and say, do I want to be known as somebody who gives people grace? Do I want to be known as somebody who enables people to shine and succeed and be the best people they can be? Do I want to be known as someone who's honest? And when I shake your hand, it's a done. We don't need to have contracts and lawyers and, and 3 different signatures on something for something to be true. If I shake your hand and look at you in the eye, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I apologize. Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off on that, but it's really kind of something that just popped up in my head because I know people struggle through this. I myself have, and I'm still struggling through it. It's the people pleaser mentality though that need to be careful of this.
Yes.
And that is something that I do want to say because I am one of those personality types where obviously I'm excitable and I will give 100% of everything that I have. And I will go above and beyond to make sure other people are successful because I see it as a way of, it's a reflection of me. I would like to think I'm a giving person, but at the same time, you have to be aware to stop when it's no longer healthy for you. And there's another gal I was speaking with about this where she's like, see, I'm a people pleaser, but I'm miserable. And I'm like, and that's where you need to stop, right? Because having and being that person that you want to be is great, but it has to come at the boundary of understanding when you're no longer satisfying for yourself, right? You can't always love everybody.
Yeah. No, you can't. I mean, look at this. There's 8 billion people in the world. We just flipped over 8 billion people. Mm-hmm. If you could help 1/10,000th of 1% of the world, that's 8,000 people. 99% of us can't help 8,000 people in a lifetime. We can't. It's just not possible. So we need to sit there and say, who can we help? Who can't we help? And sit there and say, how do I create real impact in the world? You know, what are the things that I can do that I can maximize the impact that I'm doing? It's not being mean to people, but it's saying, I'm sorry, I just don't have the capacity to do this. Let me show you somebody who can, or let me show you a way that you can do this for yourself. But it's not ignoring people. It's not being vicious to people, but it's being able to say, no, but here's how I can put you in the right path. And I think there's a lot to be done to that, is to have that grace to be able to sit there and say, no, I can't help this person, but at least I can push them in the right direction.
And that is living up to the expectations of what you expect from others. It's okay to hear no. It's okay to hear, not me, not the right person, but I maybe can find someone for you if I know someone, right?
Exactly.
So no, I love that. I really liked this conversation, Ben, and thank you, because I do believe we expect a lot from ourselves as well as from others, but sometimes you got to figure out, are we really being honest of what we're expecting and what we're doing for ourselves.
Absolutely. So let's leave it there. The great thing to gnaw on. I'm Ben. This is Syya. We'll see you soon.
Hey. Thanks for listening to another episode of Gnaw on This, Business Bites. If you liked what you heard, we most humbly ask that you like, share, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to communicate more effectively within your organization, contact Ben at yourbrandmarketing.com or me at brilliantbeammedia.com. We can help you build your community, brand awareness, and personality through digital content and podcasting. We cannot wait to hear from you. So see you next week for another episode of Gnaw on This, Business Bites.